do that. In theater, Drogo's team, they like went to the gore chop wing first, and they control undeaded one of the devour mobs, and then they just dragged it around for literally the entire dungeon, and they just let it loose whenever they need to be in combat. So
they played Frosty Cape because of it in Theater of Pain. Frosty Cape was played large. Oh, okay, well, it also did godly single target, but
well, that's actually a very interesting topic. I knew this was going to happen, where everyone plays Frosty Cape in the eye, and now every time you play Theater of Pain, things are like you know, and that's happened sometimes. So far, the conclusion that I've heard from Frosty Case is that Frost is not that good at anything, and that people still are playing Frost in theater from what I've seen in the streets.
I mean, the MDI teams basically said it does Jesus amounts of single target damage in that dungeon, which
I think it's just a AoE. Like if you're getting beat by JD,
in other news, we got the mole belt being account wide. Dude, is this thing's garbage still, right, Squishy?
I don't know. It hasn't. The Steer hasn't. We're still implementing it. I don't exactly know. I think one of them was the versatility of is giving like 6,000 versatility or something stupid until this build. So I don't think it's been fully ran yet.
I think that some people were saying that this thing was going to be like a damage loss.
If it's a damage loss, it probably won't be like that for long, is what I'll say.
We'll buff it. It doesn't have stamina on it? Is that real?
No.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's not like the Stark book. But my understanding is, if it's a damage loss, we will put out an article on Loudhead that'll say, the belt is a damage loss, do not equip it, and then about maybe 24 to 48 hours later, they'll magically buff the belt so it's worth using. That's about the timeline.
I'm glad you understand your role in the ecosystem.
Dude, it happens
You play a very important role, okay? You play a
very
important role in the
Cersei's Circlet on release, everyone's going, this thing is a DPS loss because we don't have the gems. So we put an article that says, don't equip Cersei's Circlet, it's shit. And then they go ahead and, let's see, they buffed the gems without realizing that the reason that they were bad was the wrong gems. Then they just released all the gems, I think, like over the weekend or something.
And then they give you higher item level ring.
And then they used the ring.
That was the craziest part, was the ring item level increase, because then I ended up wearing it this entire patch.
Can't wait till I wear that belt all next season, right?
Oh my god, the mole belt, we're back. They also have Dastardly Duos. At the time that you're maybe listening to this, the servers are going to be down, but Dastardly Duos are coming out. It's going to be similar to like Brawls, maybe from the past. I don't know. I saw people kind of clowning on these a little bit. I never really had a chance to check them out on the PTR. Did you look at them at all on the PTR, Squishy?
So they are. So first of all, it takes place over 6 weeks.
Is it really?
Just you know, we're just gonna rip that bandit right off. There's 6 weeks of quests. If you don't get everything right away, there's 6 weeks of quests on the BTR. You can queue with 1 to 5 people, and it fills with follower NPCs for any slot that you don't have open. With the first week, there are 4 bosses to fight, and each week there is a new boss added. So it is time gated, which is the nature.
Oh, I have an important take here.
Okay, shoot.
Man of the people.
Time gating is bad.
Oh.
What a W take, man of the people. What a good take. Raul really knows. What a smart cat. Sorry, I was reading the comments of the feature.
And yeah, you just go in and you kill shit is basically it. I'm pretty sure people are not gonna like this event, but I'll be surprised. I'll be happy if I'm wrong.
Why is it time gated? Isn't it? It's literally just like dungeon. You just like walk in and you kill some bosses, kind of similar to what Brawls used to be in the past. Like, how the fuck are they time gating this?
This is just the time gated patch, man.
Why? Time gating can be good. Like I know that Growl just said time gating is bad. Time gating can be good on specific things.
L take Tettles L moron Tettles can't listen to this guy for more than 1 minute. L take idiot.
It's just not on this, right? Especially something you release in the middle of a patch. Like time gating something like this is terrible. Also,
yeah, I mean, I think to me, the way I read it is they're sort of experimenting with ways, like they've been doing this for a while, right? Of experimenting with adding things in between major patches, and I think this is just a iteration of them seeing, you know, unfortunately you guys are getting farmed for numbers, and they're going to do this experiment. They're going to time gate literally everything, and they're going to see if it gets you to log in or if it makes you have more fun. Ultimately, I think if the content is fun, then it's good and it's fun, and if it's not good, then people probably won't play it, and I don't think time gating will do anything.
Yo,
we'll see.
Did you release an article about dinar catch-up, by the way, yet, Squishy? Okay, you're gonna need to re-up one of those, because I gotta fix
they
that
might not
shit.
have saw that one. Do another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They might not have saw it.
I think it's stupid. I'm gonna put that out there, but I have a feeling. They're not gonna do anything about it.
Spread.
Because they probably would have done it already.
Well, yeah, okay. I also have this feeling that they're not gonna do anything about it, but I think they should change their mind.
Yeah, but that's
I
not gonna be
agree.
a Wowhead article. See, I thought you knew your
We
role.
did. Okay, if I was Zap, their thought process is 100%. This is only for 6 weeks, so if they miss a week, they will just catch up at the end.
My favorite tomato did the quest, forgot to turn it in, and then didn't get his dinar. Because of
Oh
it.
yeah, this is a very common thing. I had to remind everybody to get to turn in the dinar quest right after raid. But I have a feeling their thought process is exactly, there's only 6 weeks, so if you miss a week, you just get it on the 7th week. Which I don't think is correct, personally, but, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. Like, I don't know.
And if you miss 2 weeks, you just get it on the 8th week, says Blizzard. I don't know.
The time gating is whatever. The fact that there's no catch-up is the bullshit part of the entire thing.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I still think it's better if they just didn't release dinars at all, but, you know, that's just me. I think Turbo Boost was enough.
I don't know. I don't know if I've actually thought about this long to give a good opinion on how I feel either way.
Grout, what are you doing with your dinar next time? Today.
So, my priest is basically full this. I still need Jaster Diamond on my priest, but I have basically. Unfortunately, I've been playing my priest again. I got tricked. A group started inviting my mage, and we were doing high keys, and I'm like, oh, nice. You know, we're finally in. And then one day they were like, hey, we can't get a healer. Can you play healer instead of mage? And then I'm like, oh yeah, sure, that's no problem. And they haven't asked me to play mage since. It's been like a week. So I think, you know, Jengi's out on the streets still, and he might live out on the streets, but so my priest is getting geared, probably buying a Jaster Diamond. Jangbi still needs a second trinket. Unfortunately, I bought a Moxie jug from Mythic. I basically had to make my guild leader bring Jangbi to Mythic Moxie, or Mugsy, to get the jug. And then that week in the vault, I got the Mugsy jug in the vault, which is quite unfortunate.
As is tradition.
But standard, everyone shakes their head, yeah, we did that too. So I still need a second trinket. I'm using like just a normal candle, or a heroic level candle or whatever. And I still need a Jaster Diamond too, so Jangbi, I don't know if Jangbi has a
the strongest
Jangbi might have a mug for last boss kill. I don't even remember. Raids, I kind of like filter them out of my memory, so I kind of forget what bosses I kill and what. I think I just wasn't in for the last boss. I think I said just hit me, but eventually I need to get a Jaster Diamond too, but it's probably second trinket, then Jaster Diamond for Jangbi.
Why'd you ask, Squishy?
I was just curious, like, you know, Growl has completed the raid. I'm curious how geared is
Squishy, as a raider who has every single item in the game and doesn't need anything, wants to know what it's like to be a low peasant like Jangbi who just has to come to the raid on the day the dinars are released to try and catch up.
Growl has Jangbi actually killed the bosses? Like, can he buy stuff?
Yeah.
He said he said he
Jangbi
killed
actually
Mugsy.
is. I've killed every boss up till Gallywix, and I actually have better parses on my mage than I do on my priest.
Totem.
Wait, so you still need Gallywix on it, though?
Yeah, I still need Gallywix.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't done Gallywix yet.
That's why you're not going to get invited, because you don't have the Mythic Jaster. We determined this by the community reaction.
That is why.
That's a good point. I still don't have Kazan and the Jaster. Huh.
Yeah, that group that you had, they invited you, they saw you didn't have Mythic Jaster, they immediately just, his priest is better.
No, Jang B's reception on the streets has been very polarizing. While it's true that there are a lot of people who see me and turn away, there are also people who have been very kind. Lots of people who have shouted out the pod or my stream and have invited Jang B to maybe their detriment to their key.
So many people in your chat hate Jang B because they view him as a resilient thief. I guess that's how I would describe it.
Oh yeah, Jang B. Yeah, there was some comments on the whole coaching video too that were pretty funny. There, some guy like wrote some paragraph along the lines of like, shouldn't you know this stuff if you're a mage doing 18s? Like, how is this guy just in 18s and he's asking these questions and he doesn't know these things? Like, what is wrong with that guy? He was very, very upset that Jang B was doing 18s. I'm sure it got downvoted. Well, actually,
I've been watching Jang B do keys. I think the real secret is to get 4 people who are better players than you to run a resilient key over and over for several hours until you finally don't int the key. Alternatively for non-Jang B players, gold works too. Yeah,
that's a very accurate comment. Yeah, that is. Yeah. To be fair, okay, I'll say that while I do get carried, I also try to do this, like, I've probably done all the keys out in the streets that I've gotten carried in. Have I done 18 prior yet? I don't know. But, like today I literally one-shot and he just went in a bug and I timed it. Like, while it's true that I'm usually ahead of the level that I deserve to be at, I still make sure that I'm trying to catch up and keep my skill up the best I can.
Yeah. All right, Squishy, what is this?
Okay, so I have a question for you. Occasionally, Warcraft Logs puts out these like questions on the front page as the poll of what should be counted towards an All-Stars parse. And in this case, because whether or not you summon a bunch of ads matters on One-Armed Bandit, or whether or not you deal damage to the Electroshockers during its damage amp matters for All-Stars parse, they're putting out this poll. Do you care about this at all?
I stopped caring about parses around Shadowlands. So no, I don't. I don't really know why I stopped. I don't really know why I stopped caring about parses around Shadowlands.
I think the most important thing when it comes to parses is that you have to be capable of them. Like, it's not a matter of like, you know, oh, I'm this player because I get these parses, but like as long and this is even healer parses too. Like, as long as you're capable of blasting to some amount, then you can do that throughput. I don't think you should be obsessed with parses. I mean, I think it's silly, but at the same time, like, I don't know, there are people that really, really like parses, and so I don't know, like, if this is like a big deal to them, like, I remember when they added the column that showed how many PIs you got or whatever, like, I don't know if that's something important to them, like, whatever, like, it's literally something that I never, ever, ever look at when I look at Warcraft logs, but if it's important to people, or they, you know, in the same way that, like, you know, I'm the #1 ranked Ret Paladin on Storm Rage. You know, you can be the #1 ranked Ret Paladin who didn't get any PIs, and if that feels good to you, or I'm the #1 Ret Paladin on boss damage if you filter away the Electroshocker ads, you know, like, if people enjoy that, like, then maybe I have that information available.
I find it a little bit odd, like, to me, the moment at which you start filtering out ads on a boss, I feel like you should just take away all-star points from that boss. Because, I mean, part of getting parses is some people do some jank shit to get parses all the time. Isn't that like part of it?
I mean, that was gonna be my second question. Just like, do you even think they should bother with this? It's just like, just be hands off the entire thing and let people do whatever thing they're gonna do. People are always just gonna find the best way to do the most damage, as cringe as it might be.
I think that what they did in the past, where they would just remove some bosses from All Stars altogether, if people were doing cringe shit, is totally fine. Like Agrimar.
Yeah, like remove ENR. Like, that's fine.
That's fine.
But like, this like little policing what can and is not part of All Stars just seems so weird.
Dude, it's a fucking ad. Like, is this not part of the boss? Like, why are we removing this? The One-Armed Bandit ads, like, it's based on your strategy. Like, I don't care. Who cares?
To your other question of why you, why I personally think you stopped caring, it's because you grew up and realized that parsons don't fucking matter to anything.
Yeah, I think I started caring more about guild progression than I did individual performance in a raid as well.
Like, There's like a 99 and a 98 or like a 95 doesn't fucking matter to the guild like a lot of the time.
I don't even know what I got. Dude, let me just say, I came back to raiding and I was hella rusty and I was gained off the gray for a couple weeks, but I eventually figured that shit out. Now I'm no longer a complete NPC, but there was some weeks. Hold on, let me click on Sprocket Monger Lock and Stock. Oh.
That was a hard, dude. That's a hard boss on raid. I've always said that. That is a hard.
It
boss
is a hard. Dude, this is the hardest boss. This is by far the hardest boss to step into without any knowledge. I think I was also a great person on Mugsy. Oh, because green parsing.
Green.
I think I was a great person on
like,
Gallywix.
Yo, based on what we talked about earlier, a lot of guilds will look at the important bosses for prog and not look at the AoE pad fights, right? Like, you know, you're not gonna look at like ENR to judge someone's.
You look at the hard fights. I think you could look at
the hard fights, but also not cringe like AoE pad fights, right? Like,
I could see you looking at Brood Twist. That's an AoE pad.
Okay,
we can see what I'm saying.
Those ads do need to die very rapidly, but like, what Hellfire Assault? Like, not a good fight. You're not gonna look at stuff there. You're gonna look at the heart. You're gonna look at Mugsy. You're gonna look at that kind of thing. And like, how much is electroshocker damage actually going to matter in terms of adjusting your parse? Maybe 1%. Maybe.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even realize that these mobs took double damage.
I didn't realize that.
As in, Hell's parse is coming.
Well, hold on. I really just hit the boss. I don't detarget the boss ever. Like, I'm not hitting these ads. Some warlocks havocing them and just chaos pulsing them across the room. That's got nothing to fucking do with me.
All right, let's check that. Go right now.
I just hit them when we have to hold DPS.
Well, you want to see boss damage?
No, I want to see your ad damage. Let's see it. Electroshocker damage.
Oh. We have to stop every week. This fight sucks, by the way.
Yeah, I hate it. Yeah, this is not a genuine fight.
On Frog, because we had to stop a hit. Oh, yeah.
I got a Moonfire and a Sunfire on them one time. Like, I'm not doing anything to these ads. Like, these ads are just there. Dude, yeah, look at the people who are hitting them. But yeah, it's these warlocks and this Shadow Priest, the people who are supposed to be hitting them.
But yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe if you were looking for a better parse, you would care about hitting them, but I didn't even realize that people are... like, I don't know, grow up, hit the boss, be normal. Alright, dude, we got a really long Q&A question. We actually have one short Q&A question, one really long Q&A question. I thought this was super interesting when it was submitted, so I thought that we'll take some time to talk about it. It's from FDKKJ. He says, hi, I have a question for each of you guys involving your individual thoughts on Mythic Plus mechanics. This will be a wall of text. So with a wall of text, I try to condense it down as much as possible. So not necessarily a question that you read up and answer like the usual bench style, but just a very interesting topic of discussion that I'd really love to hear all your thoughts on. Love the podcast as always. Very enjoyable for my ride to work. First, style of damage for Mythic Plus. How do you guys feel about pulse AoE healing, aka mechanics that require steady group healing over time?
I think generally good. I think they have to be like really careful with how it works though. It's hard with the defensive creep because a lot of times pulse AoE just requires defensives and externals and AMZ and all that stuff as well, and so that borders on that territory. I think random stuff that keeps the healer busy and stops you from pulling too crazy. Like, a lot of times those mobs are doubly good that stops you from pulling too crazy, because not only do they pulse AoE damage and you can't pull multiple of them, but also they like stand there like idiots. And so like you can't really like move them fast across the map like you could melee mobs. So in general, I think that while it's annoying when every pack does AoE damage, I think it's good for the health of dungeons. I think that like, as long as they don't go overboard with them, I think it's generally like fine.
I think it depends the type of AoE damage. If it's like Bubbles level of AoE damage, like, I'm not sure about that. But if it's like, you know, you pull this mob, and if you're in combat with this mob, you take some light, you know, some AoE damage, and you can pull like 2 or 3 of them to combine. I think that's fine. Because then you can kind of choose.
What do you think about Sir Braun Pike, the mini boss in Priority Sacred Flame?
I think for a mini boss, that's fine. But if we're talking just like a random soldier melee mob or something, like let's say get in combat with him, I think it should a little bit is fine. I honestly think every pull should have a little bit of incidental damage, with certain mobs having more. because a little bit will slowly add up and just kind of keep the healer busy to avoid the old habit of JB Catboard.
So Brown Pike, is that the very first guy, the Thunderclap guy?
No,
it's the Prairie.
It's the boss that's similar to Kajin.
Brown Pike.
He's the...
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, the guy.
The pulsing AoE guy.
I wish that room was a little bit more spread out. I really like the idea that you can pull that room how you want it, and so like just the mini boss isn't really like you can technically lust the mini boss and only pull that, and it's not scary at all. Or you can be pulling a ton of stuff with it, or casters, or not lust. I really like the idea. I like the choose your difficulty routing style of Priory. I just think the mobs are a little bit too close together. Possibly that's because that's Norman's problem and it's bullshit. But generally, I like that setup, and I think that again, like just having one mob there and you can decide how you want to pull it is fine.
I think that pulse AoE damage, I've come to the conclusion that I much prefer seasons. I would prefer if every season felt like Discrease does this season, where healers have the ability to be able to save you even independently of whether or not you're pressing your defensive. And I actually really like pulse AoE healing just as a general tool for healers to be able to constantly be engaged in the dungeon and have some kind of outplay that they're able to do, where like a good healer is able to make sure that I'm always alive in this situation.
I think electroshockers, if they did constantly drop swirlies, are a great example.
Like on
The
Mugsy?
swirlies are the problem. Huh?
Like on Mugsy? Wait, what
What are they?
electroshock?
Jump starters. Sorry, jump starters in Floodgate.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, wrong one. Yeah, the jump starters in Floodgate, I think, are a pretty good example of, I think, healthy AoE damage if they also didn't drop like 6 swirlies at a time under you every pulse.
Yep. I think the heal AoE damage and bullet hell can be used very rarely, but is very tough for. That creates like a very good healer diff. Like I think the sweet spot in general when it comes to designing mechanics is if you have a good one of these in your party, it feels good. But if you have a shit one of these in your party, it's not impossible. Like some of these, it can feel like if you don't have a good healer and you're doing those jump starters, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like permanently low health. You're staring at your health bar. You're using every global. You're a bear. Like that's the problem.
Azarok feels like, dude, going from like a good healer to like a not so good healer on Azarok, it just takes the fight from easy to impossible.
Like I think healer DPS is like a good outlet in that, right? Like if you looked at Candle King, right? There was healers that were doing DPS on Candle King.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're a DPS and you do Candle King and your healer does 0 points of damage, but he makes you feel safe the whole time, you're like, yep, perfect. That's totally fine with me, yep. But if you're really caring about performance and you have mode on your team who can do 400k or 500k DPS to the boss while healing you, then that's even better, And I think it's very hard to get that sweet spot, right? Because we're talking about all different levels of play, but in general, that's what I think should be for.
I think in general, though, I think that pulsing AoE healing, I would put that as like positive. I guess how do we want to rank some of these mechanics? Talk about them. I want to rank them.
I mean,
I would rank it in the good as long as it's not overused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like there should be this in every dungeon, in some capacity.
Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable. Assigned caster interrupts. This is fights where only one person needs to be responsible for a single interrupt on a mob, a manageable cast assignment. What I mean by this is like Wranglers and Volleys and Meadery. This is like S tier kick. These are my preferred style of interrupts. Like put one person per mob, not having to think about insanely long kick rotations.
Yeah, I think that this is good. Yeah, I think that this is, generally speaking, I think that, now I know that I may come off as somebody who doesn't sympathize towards people who pug, but I think in general, they should design mechanics such that if there are 5 people who aren't in voice, but are smart, good gamers, that they can handle the situation. And so there are a lot of tools available to them, right? So for example, if you run in and everyone marks a kick and you get your kick and everyone has their responsibility, that's something that I think is fine. That's totally good. And I think that, if you're in a pug, maybe you pull 1 or 2 of those mobs, and you just have 4 idiots, and you hope one of them presses kick. But if you're in an organized group, then you pull 4 packs with 1 mob each, and every single person is responsible for a kick, even the tank or the healer, you know. And it's like, I also think that maybe I was talking and I was thinking there's maybe. It would be interesting if they added more tools to the ping system. So, like, for example, imagine if they added, like, a my turn ping or a help me ping. And I think that, like, for instance, if you're doing an AoE stop rotation, okay, my kicks are down. I want to ping myself as Jangby and say my turn so that they know, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get my stops or whatever. Like, I think that sort of system would be really, really cool. Or likewise, like a ping